Hi everyone, it is Beth with Flying by the Seat of My Plants, and today is Thursday, June 29th, and we're in an area that is being affected by the Canadian fires. Yesterday was really bad. I just ended up just staying in the house most of the day, came out a couple times to do a few things, but then went back in. And then this morning woke up and it looked pretty clear. There was still a haze, but now it looks like it's starting to fill up with smoke again. So I'm going to go ahead and do a garden tour today, and a lot of exciting things going on in the garden, a lot of things I have learned. So I don't know, I've been gardening just a little over 30 years now, and there are some things, every year you learn something new. So I did a video, my last video that I uploaded was a lot of preserving things that I picked. The video I did last time is I said I was picking blackberries. And I noticed the blackberries were a lot smaller than previous years. So, you know, I kept referring to them as blackberries. So I do have a Facebook group, Flying by the Seat of My Plants. And there are some very knowledgeable people in that group. And so when I posted my pictures, there was a comment in there, and they said, "No, that's not blackberries, that's black raspberries." And I'm like, I've never had black raspberries. So I spent a lot of time trying to research black raspberries compared to blackberries, and put questions out there in another group, and just the different suggestions of what was brought up, and people that are knowledgeable of what is a difference between a blackberry and a black raspberry. What happened, I bought all blackberries. I planted those, I think, like 6 years ago, and had these nice plump big blackberries every year. And this year there was just a lot of smaller ones, and I couldn't figure it out. So they looked ripe, I tasted them, they tasted great, so I picked a whole bunch, actually over 3 pounds. But here it wasn't blackberries, it was black raspberries. And there was another comment as far as that my blackberries were developing a lot sooner than their blackberries. Ooh, I can smell the smoke now. But so, and I'm like, well, they were closer to the lake, so I'm thinking, well, maybe it was the difference in temperature. So, but anyhow, what it is, you know, I get a lot of birds that fly over there. So I think what happened, well, it did happen, because I didn't plant black raspberries, is the birds came over and planted seeds for me. I get a lot of that. You know, where I live, the squirrels are planting sunflowers. The birds are planting seeds in different areas. I have coneflowers that I did not plant in certain areas, and I have coneflowers there. So anyhow, I actually looked at the branches and how the clusters are forming. So I do have blackberries still, but this year just a lot of black raspberries. But I'm noticing now the difference in how the cluster is between the black raspberry and the blackberry, and also a difference in the appearance of the black raspberry and the blackberry. So I just wanted to clear that up. So what I picked the other day was black raspberries. They are delicious. They're in the freezer now. So then the other thing, I planted all kinds of seeds this year for onions. I did regular, like Walla Walla. I did bunching onions. I did leeks. And I want to say I did chives. But one of the containers I did not mark it. So, you know, when they originally started coming up, I went ahead and assumed they were the bunching onions. Some of the bunching onions were marked, and this container was not marked. And so, no, I assumed they were leeks. And because I thought I planted some leeks, but looking at all how they're growing, I don't think I did. But anyhow. So in the last video I was preserving what I was referring to as leeks. And that was another thing. I posted the picture in my Facebook group. And the same person, John, thank you, he goes, those are not leeks. The leeks had the flat leaves. And you know, like another day I posted a picture of a bug and I wasn't really sure what it was. I was researching, trying to find it. I couldn't find it. And there was a couple different answers to it with a question mark afterwards. They weren't really sure. So I would look these up and it was not matching it. And then it was a soldier beetle. And when that popped up, you know, I looked it up and it matched. And so the soldier beetle is very good, and they were hanging out by my milkweed, and so they're eating the aphids. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and take you around because right now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and you know, like I said, it's starting to get pretty foggy, smoky again. And I have my son's 3 dogs, so we're kind of trying to keep the activity indoors, which they don't like, but anyhow, that's the way it is right now. So all right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take you around. I'm gonna start off with the one garden, the flower bed that I enlarged this year. Well, there's 2 of them I enlarged, but anyhow, everything is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you around. Okay, here is the one garden that I enlarged this year. And well, I didn't enlarge it, I just changed things around. I used to have wooden boxes over underneath the window, but because of the eaves over the top, it wasn't getting the rain that it needed, so I moved that and moved alongside the fence. So with that, I went ahead and there is a fig tree that I put in here. It was overwintered from last year, and it's still really small, so I don't know how big that's going to get. And then these over here I still have to plant. These are some of the echinacea coneflowers that I started from seed, and they need to go on the ground. And I can't remember the name of these, but this was gifted to me from one of the people that came to my plant sale, and he wanted to give me those, and I absolutely love them. He says that they will get huge, and it spreads really easy, so I still have to get those in. And then, of course, I added some sunflowers here in the hanging basket, and the snapdragons that I started from seed, and those were all started indoors. And then I have some different sunflowers and zinnias, and I added petunias, and I bought let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 plants that I added to here. There is the butterfly bush. This comes back every year. This will grow to be about 6 foot high. And the daisy plant I moved over here. And I did put the some of the dwarf sunflowers. And here is a lily. This has been here for years, and it's finally blooming, absolutely gorgeous. And then Abby, Hendrix, hey, out, out, out. And this one, I'm still waiting to see the flowers on this. It's snapdragons that I started, I think it was back in February by seed. And I can't wait to see the flowers on that. It's a black snapdragon and chamomile. I've been harvesting, and it looks like it's ready for another harvest. And planted this. It hasn't opened up yet, and I can't remember what it is, so we'll find out. And here is some cinnamon basil. I planted more spinach in here. This spinach is bolting. Go down here. Some cilantro. And I did plant some more cilantro in here. But here, that's what it looks like, spinach when it starts to bolt. Hopefully I can get some seeds out of that. And then here I did some different beans, petunias, and then planted this little flower arrangement. And then the green stalk. So here I have the strawberries. These strawberries, from what I was told another member in our group, Flying by the Seat of My Plants. It's on Facebook. He said it looked like alpine strawberries, and they're nice and sweet. I did research more on the alpine. They do not send off runners. So, and these strawberries are a lot smaller. And then here are my everbearing. And these I've had for several years. And I tried, see, this one's giving me runners now, so I want to put this in dirt without cutting it from the mother plant. I did find out you do have to leave it on the mother plant for it to root. So once I get long enough, I have some empty spaces down there. So I'll go ahead and reroot some of these. And I might just get some pots and somehow attach it to the green stalk so I can get some more strawberries. These are my favorite. I'll get big strawberries, and the green stalk is just great to grow the strawberries in. The alpine, I mean, it's okay, but they're a very small strawberry. But they are delicious. Nice little morning snack. Okay, so over here is more Kajari melon that I started. So I put 6 seeds in and 4 have germinated. And so over here, these were some bunching onions. These are bunching onions. And some of them started bulbing, so I pulled these out. I want to make a salad, put that in there, whatever's left over, I'm going to chop it up and freeze it. To me, it's just great for preserving if you have a lot. So, and then I did a couple little pots here. Here is the other green stalk. So I did put some petunias in here. And, you know, once the flower's spent, you don't want to just pull it out like that. You want to actually pinch that off so that you will get more. And then in here I also have Tiny Tim. Here is a mini bell pepper. There's a Tiny Tim down here in the pot. These are a lot that I didn't sell. This, I believe, is the holy basil. Right here. And here, when I first planted it, I think I had it marked as a Tiny Tim. Obviously, it's not a Tiny Tim. It looks like it's possibly a cherry tomato, but I don't know what it is right now. And then here I have some cinnamon basil. And that's starting to flower, so I'm going to pinch that off. And the cinnamon basil, it's just great to add like to a tea, a drink. It does have the taste of cinnamon. And then I just added some more petunias. On the bottom, I added some seed. I'm trying to remember what I put down there. I should write these things down before I come on and talk to you guys about it. But anyhow, here's another mini bell pepper. Alyssum, I believe. No, it was pink baby's breath. So, can't wait till that blooms. And then did some different pots with the petunias and the Tiny Tims. So I'm getting tomatoes on that. And then here is, this garden's been here for a while, this flower bed. And I just add different things to it every year. So here's a rose bush. This actually was here When I purchased my home, so it's been like 16 years, but it was buried by, this used to all be, I don't know what you call it, the boxwood shrubs. So I pulled all those out and then discovered this rose bush. And then I added, this is aster, which will get the purple flowers. Butterflies love it. Here's columbine. And this, I started this from seed. The echinacea coneflowers. And those are blooming. And this will get bigger every year. And then catnip. Here is poking through here. Snapdragon. Lemon balm. And this, you can cut it all down and it'll come back all the time. But if it gets out of hand, unruly, you can prune it. And more catnip. And here are some zinnias. They haven't opened up yet, but they're doing great. And these are some of the black-eyed Susans. And they planted themselves. I always get these every year. And there's some more back there. And some more snapdragons. Irises. Another beautiful snapdragon here. And black-eyed Susans. Here is Mexican sunflower. Okay, so now we're back by the black raspberries and the blackberries. Here are, you can look at this cluster here. These are the blackberries. Now, what I was picking the other day, let me show you a cluster. Which now I can actually understand what the difference is. Like this one. See how they're really close together? And when you pick one off, it has like that little kind of caved in the center. That is a black raspberry. Okay, so these are the carrots. Got some more onions in here. Here is some celery. And this is the pink celery. Oh my, what is that bug? See if you can see that. Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't know what it is. It's probably one of them that's eating the holes in the kale. And in here I have, here is celery. So I'm going to pull one of those today and put in a salad. This is where all my garlic was. I went ahead and picked it, and it was ready to pick, and I didn't want it to keep it going. We had rain for a few days, and then of course now we got the smoke coming in from Canada. Here's some parsley, some sunflowers, and I want to say this is eggplant. There's my stevia, and I am going to go ahead and cut this, and I'm actually going to make an extract out of it this time. The powder, I mean, it's okay, but I think I'd prefer to have the extract. This here, I do believe, is acorn squash. These are some of the things that I didn't have marked and just found a spot for them. So let's see how that goes. Some more zinnias and the marigolds, and then the calendula. And then in here, I do have some of the garlic, and the garlic actually is beautiful. And right now I just want to cure it, let it dry, and I'm going to clean these off. Well, I moved to the shade because as soon as I put my camera into that greenhouse, it shut down. But and it had to cool off. But when you harvest your garlic, the recommendation is, you know, once 3 of the leaves, so you have your first layer of leaf here, there's a second layer here, and a third layer here. That's when it's time to harvest. This has been drying out, so it looks like more than that, but it's usually 3 leaves up. This one I just pulled. So there's that first layer, the second layer, and actually this would be the third one, but it's a nice sized garlic. So this one has to cure. Here is my onion bed, and these are the ones that I did not prune. So there's a video on that comparing the beds, but they're still, I'm getting some nice bulbs. And you know, you do want to add nitrogen to these. Once they start bulbing, they recommend you don't, but I have quite a few that have not started bulbing here in the front, so I could do this whole row in the front here, in between these two, and add nitrogen. Here are the peppers. These are my jalapenos, and I have a lot of flowers on here. And these beds are 2 foot wide by 4 foot. And I believe this one's a Craig's Grande, which I love to stuff those. Yep, this one's a jalapeno. Just looking here. More Craig's Grande in here. So this one I started as an experiment back in January. So it really hasn't, it's very, feels very thick. But if you could see all those peppers there. And this is the one I like to stuff with cream cheese and mix cream cheese with cheddar cheese, wrap it in bacon, bake it. It's delicious. And here is, I think these are my Tam jalapenos. Let me go ahead and pick one here. Because I had one earlier. And there's no heat. So I have quite a few on here. This is great to put in salads. And the marker washed off, but oh, maybe that's the Anaheim? Oh, maybe this is the Anaheim. Nope, none of them came off. I don't feel any, there's no, like, no heat. But it is tasty. Oh, and back here I got paprika. I gotta get my basket. Okay, so let's see what you can see here. These are the paprikas. So I got quite a few on here, but of course I'm gonna wait until these turn red. And then I will dehydrate and powder them up. Let's see what we got in here. These are the Tam jalapenos. So there's not a whole lot of heat. See that? And then in here I think I also have the Nadapinos. There's another Tam jalapeno. I like making cowboy candy, so there are a lot of jalapenos in here. These, I believe, are the shishitos, which I did harvest quite a bit the other day, and they're getting full of peppers again. Now these are the onions that I pruned. The camera keeps shutting down because it keeps heating up. So here are the onions that I pruned, and they look absolutely gorgeous. And to be honest, I think in the future I will be pruning around the 10-week mark. I'm going to see if I can get you in close to look at this one here. Okay, this one here. Look at the size of that one. And these are the ones that I pruned or topped them. And that's because they were just really flopping over. I did a video when I did that. Here's another one that's doing really good. And they look really healthy. And so, I don't know, I think it's going to be a good year for onions. All different kinds of onions I got going on here. Okay, here's my other onion bed. Those are green onions over here, spring. Well, those are the ones I had unmarked, so they're a green onion though. Here are the bunching onions here, and I did pick some. They're in the basket here, and then that carrot, and then I did pick some of these Notapinos, and here's an Anaheim. I'm going to add this all to my pasta salad, and then here is some more peppers, and in here I do have some Cubanelle. Here's a Cubanelle here. Okay, so here I am back by the arches. Wow, look how foggy that is over there. Anyhow, so here I have some snapdragons that I put in here. These are my hot Hungarian peppers. This one here is a datil hot pepper. It was described as extremely hot. It was a free seed. I really don't know what I'm going to do with that, but probably try and make some kind of a hot sauce out of it. And then here I have some squash. And of course I didn't mark it, even though I always say mark it. So I have a feeling these are patty pans. And then jumping over here real quick. Here is that one plant I do not recall planting. And it looks like a lily. Has not opened yet. I have no clue. I honestly do not remember planting this. Back here I have some daisies. These come back every year. Sage. And this is the, I have to weed some of this out. It rained for a few days here, and then of course then we started getting the smoke coming over from Canada, so I'm kind of behind on weeding and different things like that. But here is thyme. Here is some zinnias I planted, rosemary. This here is the sweet marjoram, and here is an aster plant. It gets purple flowers. And then going back over here, this is, I believe this one's a Craig's Grande jalapeno. And on this side, I have some, the yellow squash in here. And this is where I had a previous video where I went ahead and added compost to these beds. Here's the Kajari melon, and they're basically, they're not even growing. So I did start those that I showed you earlier. So once they get big enough, I'm going to put them in here. And I think, I got to double check, but I think the Kajari, it said 90 days to harvest. So we still have time in my area to be able to plant that. I'm not sure. The Hungarian hot wax, I think I showed you that. And then here is my pumpkins. Some more of the snapdragons. They're just gorgeous. Here is the black snapdragon, has not opened. And some sunflower seeds I put in there. And here are, on this end, I believe is a national pickling cucumber. And on this end is the silver slicer cucumbers. And you just have to help them in the beginning to climb up so they're not grabbing onto other plants you don't want them to grab onto. So if they do, oh, and there I'm getting a little cucumber. And then here I have, the yellow squash. And this is I think the patty pan.
Yeah, patty pan. I just love the patty pan. And I did add some nitrogen the other day, and everything is greened up really nicely. I won't add any more nitrogen because now I want it to concentrate on fruiting. And, you know, once the leaves start getting really big, I will prune some of these down on the bottom just to give it some airflow, and also so the pollinators can see the flowers when they start developing. And there's some basil in here. These are the purple pole beans, and this has already climbed all the way up here. So wrap that around. And that's all over here, so this is going to be absolutely gorgeous when it starts climbing up over the arch. Also with the cucumbers. And then here's more of the snapdragons. I think they're just so beautiful. And, you know, I add flowers just for the pollinators and for its beauty. And then here is, these are the Market Moore 76 cucumbers. So just got to keep helping them up so they grab on, so they climb up. And this will fill this whole arch. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And then I have Market Moore 76 on this side too. More snapdragons. Tucked a petunia in there. I think this snapdragon is so pretty. And here's sunflower. And cucumber needs help to go over here. And here's another squash. I didn't mark it. Looks like a yellow squash. Lots of flowers. This is zucchini growing in here. And I will be pruning like the larger leaves on the bottom just to give it some airflow. And I also did add compost to this bed and watered them with that 911 solution, the nitrogen. And everything is looking beautiful. So, and then over here, here's the other half of the herb garden. And there's Abby. And in here is the tomato garden. And I have to get in here and weed, but with the air quality we have going on right now, I'm not going to worry about weeding right now, but they're really small. I've weeded in here a couple times, and I use that stirrup hoe. But I've been pruning the bottom leaves, as you can see, so it has the airflow with the tomatoes, and I have a lot of flowers. I know oh, here's some, and in here I got the zinnias, sunflowers. Here I have the russet potatoes. So I did fill the soil up more, and I can add more to it in a little bit. But this is all going to continue to grow, and it will get flowers on it. And you'll know when it's ready to harvest when the flowers start dying back. And the russets are in here, so I did use a 20-gallon grow bag. And there's some more squash I put in here. Don't know what kind it is because I didn't mark it. Yep, I preach it, but sometimes I don't follow it. There's a black strawberry cherry starting, and some cherries over here starting. All of these are my San Marzanos. I put a lot in because I do like to can. And then I also have Amish paste, and I'll be tying this up. I ran out of cages, so I'm using these. But I love these cages. They fold down flat. They're very sturdy. And then some other, here's some zinnias down here. And in the corners I did plant some sunflowers, so we'll see how that goes. But different tomatoes, and right now I'm just getting flowers on most of them. And let's see. And this is my first year for growing the Black Beauty. Let me know if you guys have grown them, because this is how it's growing, which I think is a big cluster. But the way I seen it, it looked like it would be, you know, like a medium-sized tomato, but I don't know the way the clusters are growing, but we'll find out, I guess. But if you have grown it, let me know. So there's another Black Beauty over here. And I mean, everything looks really good. You know, just keep pruning down at the bottom. And like I said, I do have to get in here and weed, but I'm not going to right now because of the air quality. And I just don't want to be working really hard out in it. So now to take you over to the other beds. And out here I do keep a roll of tape. It just makes it easier while you're out here looking, and if you see something that needs supporting and you have this right here, it's so easy to just grab it, tie them up, because when you walk away from it, you might forget about going back. So anyhow, just wanted to share that tip. And here's another lily. I did not plant these. I don't know what they are. I can't wait till they open up. So here are some more potatoes. So I went ahead and filled the dirt. And these potatoes do like water. So I have been watering them daily if needed. Of course, if it rains, I'm not going to water them. But here are these arches. So on this arch, I put some cherry tomatoes. And I am just supporting them as they grow. And getting a lot of flowers on here. And tomatoes are pretty much self-pollinating, so with the flowers, usually the wind will help pollinate, but if it's not, you notice they're not pollinating, you can just flick them and let that pollen drop down to get your tomatoes. And here is that climbing triple crop here. So I have this growing to grow up the arch, because these can get up to, from what I understand, 14 or 15 feet. So I'm anxious for this one, or excited, I should say. And then I have some Swiss chard, which the groundhog has helped himself to quite a few times, but it keeps growing back. So that's good. It's the rainbow chard, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. And I do have some beets back in here, and some kohlrabi. Oh, and here's a bunch of tomatoes right here. And let me see if I can see what kind it is. Oh, black strawberry. The black strawberry is just gorgeous. And you can already see the different colors starting on it. And on this side I have eggplant, and in the last video it did have some yellowing, and I did add that nitrogen to it, and I also added some slow release fertilizer, the Trifecta Plus. So that greened these up and they're doing good, but that's it for the nitrogen. I'm not going to add any more because I want it to start concentrating pretty soon on the fruits. And then here I have some pea pods, and I'm not getting a whole lot, which is fine. I mean, it's just fun to come through here and eat it fresh. They're delicious. Okay, so here's the squash here. So I have been trimming it to make sure it gets airflow in here. And again, I didn't mark it. I'm not sure what kind it is. And some sunflowers. And here is another thing I want to point out. Here is acorn squash, I do believe. And acorn squash does vine. I didn't think it did, but it looks like it does. So here's some more russet potatoes here. And then here's my peppers. Now, this is my first year with the 4 foot by 5 foot, well, this one's 4 foot wide by 6 foot long raised bed. And this is where I had all my sweet peppers. So I do still plant them close together along the fence. You'll notice I do about 12 inches. And they do like to hold hands. Here's where I messed up. So I had this whole center part also filled with peppers. So when I was coming out here, I noticed some mold on the soil. So what was happening, there was no air circulation going on. So I went ahead and took out a bunch of these pepper plants in the center. So right now I have 2 rows of the Cubanelle, and then 2 rows of the bell peppers. And they look very healthy. And here I do have some Cubanelle peppers. Have a lot of flowers. But yeah, so I learned here, with these beds, I have to leave room in the center for airflow. And I wasn't even thinking about it when I planted those. So yeah, I did sacrifice a couple plants to save the rest. So here is...
Okay, so that concludes the garden tour. So it's looking beautiful. Tomorrow we're supposed to get a little bit of rain in the evening for like an hour, but a very low percentage, so who knows. I'm really hoping that tomorrow the air is a lot clearer, and so I am going to go in and I'm going to start making a pasta salad, cutting up some onions, the carrot, some of those peppers, putting it all in there. And so I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I hope you enjoyed the channel, and welcome back to all the subscribers. I appreciate your support. And if you're new to the channel, I'll continue to do tours. The stevia, the next thing I want to do on that is to make a simple syrup or extract out of it. So I think I'm going to prefer that over the powdered. I did mix the powdered into my coffee, and it does not dissolve very good, but it did sweeten it. So, and I feel bad for the dogs. I have my son's dogs, and we can't really do a lot of running around outside because of the air quality. It's not good for their lungs. It's not good for my lungs. So anyhow, everybody be safe out there, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you on the next one. All right, bye.